Welcome back to the Resident Evil 6 Collections Files Athon. I don't know what to call this. Resident Evil 6 Collection breakdown, I guess you could say. And the last one, or the first one, we did Leon, and this one we're gonna go over Chris. Same thing. These are obtained through collecting the serpent emblems throughout the missions. There's 4 in each chapter, and if you get all the emblems in a chapter, you get a figure. If you get all the first emblems throughout all 5 chapters, you get a figure. And then, of course, once you get every single one, you get the final one. Chris Redfield. Chris Redfield is a 39-year-old BSAA operative working for its North American branch. He was the leader of the Alpha team until he suffered post-traumatic amnesia and wound up a belligerent drunk in the underbelly of Eastern Europe. Around this time, a biohazard outbreak in China shocks the world. Piers Nivens, his teammate in Alpha, finds Chris and convinces him to resume his leadership role in the BSAA. Despite his memory loss, Chris retains the fortitude and leadership skills that make him one of the BSAA's top agents. I like the little dioramas at the bottom too. Those are pretty neat. The BSAA. In the wake of the Umbrella Corporation's dissolution in 2003, many other pharmaceutical companies saw their bioorganic weapon research enter the black market. Whether in the hands of organized crime or terrorists, the bioweapons were destroying lives around the world. In response to voices calling for action to be taken, the Global Pharmaceutical Consortium formed the anti-terrorist task force known as the Bioterrorism Security Assessment Alliance, BSAA. Initially, the BSAA was just a civilian organization with only advisory status, but as the threat posed by bioterrorism spread, the United Nations decided to sponsor the group in order to have a quick response force that could deal with the threats around the world. With its new sponsorship in place, the BSAA gained the authority to carry out investigations in countries the world over and to make arrests wherever it is dispatched. So like a global police force for bioterrorism. J'avo. The C virus will turn human hosts into creatures called J'avo. These creatures lose all self-control, but they fail to exhibit any noticeable drop in mental functions. This would explain reports of J'avo skillfully handling firearms and communicating with other J'avo in their country's native tongue. J'avo will tend to follow the final orders they were given before being infected with the C virus, and they will do this with no thought for their own safety or well-being. The virus creates an intense febrile state in the host, and the more the host is damaged, the hotter it becomes. Many J'avo have been seen to succumb to their wounds, burning to death in bright, hot flames that engulfed their bodies. J'avo mutations. After the C virus turns an infected human into J'avo, the host will continue to mutate, with the mutation usually occurring in a specific section of its body. When a host's body is damaged, the regenerative properties of the C virus will attempt to repair the damage. The repairs replace the normal human tissue with chitinous insect-like appendages. In some cases, the repairs take on a utilitarian purpose, replacing arms with scythes or shield-like appendages. Other reports say that some J'avo sprouted wings and gained the ability to fly. Certain mutations, like the aforementioned wings, have been observed on numerous occasions. The exact number of types of mutations that actually exist is unknown at this time. Of course, we get big bad boy Chris Redfield here. Piers Nivens. Piers Nivens is a 26-year-old BSAA operative working for its North American branch. Chris Redfield is his commanding officer. His hand-eye coordination and concentration skills are without peer, making him the BSAA's top-ranking sniper. He can react quickly to the changing conditions on a battlefield, and as such, he usually finds a way to complete his mission in spite of any adverse condition. A serious and determined man in battle, he still has time to offer a kind word for his fellow soldiers. It is these qualities that cause his CO to comment that the future of the BSAA rests on the shoulders of men like him. Nivens himself prefers not to think of his team as subordinates, but as members of a big family. He believes that the strength of the BSAA hinges on the bonds of all its agents. He holds Captain Redfield in the highest respect, and Captain Redfield trusts him implicitly. Ogroman. The Ogroman is a type of BOW used by the insurgents during the Civil War in Edonia. Ogroman is derived from the Cerubian of giant body. As the name would suggest, this creature is one of the largest stable BOWs known to exist. Its strength is incalculable, and it's violent and destructive. These BOWs lack intelligence and will just act on the orders they are given without thought or hesitation. The C virus will turn human hosts into creatures called Jahavo. The virus mutates the host in horrific ways. It is the last bioorganic weapon to threaten the safety of the world. One of its first known uses was as a health-preserving drug given to mercenary soldiers in one of Eastern Europe's many internecine conflicts. Following its use in Europe, many Jahavo-like creatures began to turn up around the world. The C stands for chrysalid, as the virus will encase a human host in a cocoon-like shell before its final mutation. Napod. Oh, this is the big brute. The Napod is a creature that results from a high-level mutation brought on by exposure to the C virus. Napod is derived from the Serbian word for assault. Apropos for what it does, this creature has a hard protective epidermis as well as dense, tough musculature. The creature attacks by swinging its large, powerful arms recklessly. When it becomes excited, it has been observed to thump on its chest much like a gorilla. The Napod's standard body temperature is much higher than a Jahavo's. It's so high, in fact, that its body constantly gives off steam in order to maintain a non-life-threatening temperature level. How Napod manages to give off steam without dehydrating itself is unknown. Any damage to the creature, whether by gunshot or blunt force trauma, will chip away at its shell-like exterior, revealing its softer muscle tissue underneath. The nerve center under the shell on its back is very sensitive. Damage to this area will kill the creature instantly. Which gives us a Nivens! As you can see, him with his little sniper rifle, his little snipper, as Bo likes to call it. Oh, he's on a bike. Did they ever ride a motorcycle? I don't remember these guys riding motorcycles, but okay. Finn McCauley. Finn McCauley is a 22-year-old BSAA operative working for its North American branch. The first real action he sees is Edonia's Civil War. Chris Redfield is his commanding officer. He is honest and sincere, if somewhat timid. As an explosive expert, he is tasked with destroying barricades and anti-aircraft gun turrets. Unfortunately, he falls victim to Ada's machinations, succumbing to an infection that turns him into one of the very BOWs he was tasked with fighting. After losing his humanity during the transformation into a mindless creature, he is killed by BSAA support troops dispatched to Edonia to dispose of the BOWs. Chris's amnesia. Chris Redfield suffered post-traumatic amnesia after he and his team were caught in a trap sprung by a Luang in the Republic of Edonia. Most of his team died, and an unconscious Chris was brought to a local hospital. Upon waking up, Chris had no recollection of who he was or what had occurred, but his mind was racked by an overwhelming and inexplicable guilt. Chris, determined to run away, he left the hospital before anyone could check on him. Until Piers Nivens and the BSAA found him, Chris lived as a moody and violent drunk, hoping that he could numb himself to the pain of what happened that fateful day. That he couldn't remember, but he felt guilt for, I guess. I don't know. Weird. Bosawan. Bosawan is a shantytown district located in the Chinese city of Wei Yip, built around the remains of a ruined fortress. Chris Redfield and Alpha Team chase a BOW with a highly developed camouflage ability in this area. In the early 20th century, the area was a base of operations for British colonialism. The Emperor of China was able to rally the surrendering peoples to extirpate the British from their lands. Following British abandonment, the areas of Boscawen lapsed into a lawless zone. With no one in control, people started building dwellings haphazardly until they piled up into the current labyrinth mess the district is today. Assuming this last one's a snake. Yeah. Eleutheria? The Eleutheria is a creature that results from a high-level mutation brought on by the exposure to the C virus. Eleutheria is derived from the Serbian word for phantom. This creature closely resembles a monstrously large snake, one that can camouflage its body to blend in with its surroundings. When the creature spots its prey, it starts to behave erratically. When it is in a weakened state, its ability to camouflage itself is greatly reduced. To compensate for the loss of this defensive mechanism, parts of the skin will become extremely hard, making it difficult to harm with conventional weapons. Hey, it's the Ogre Man. Chris's file. Chris Redfield began his military career as a pilot in the United States Air Force. His unwillingness to compromise brought him into direct conflict with his superiors. Unable to settle these differences, Chris retired from the Air Force. He was then scouted by Raccoon City Special Forces, STARS. Because of his superior fighting skills and pilot qualifications, after what came to be known as the Mansion Incident on the outskirts of Raccoon City, Chris set off on his own to stop Umbrella to make the world aware of the threat of bioweapons. Following Umbrella's dissolution in 2003, Chris decided to join the BSAA and continue the fight. This brought him to Africa in 2009 and in direct conflict with his former boss, Albert Wesker. Chris killed Albert during the operation, and he was finally able to put to rest all the ghosts of Umbrella in Raccoon City. In 2012, during an operation at Andonia, all his BSAA soldiers, except for Piers Nivens, are turned into BOWs. Chris suffered from head trauma that led to amnesia. And it wasn't until 6 months later that Piers was able to find him again. Conveniently not mentioning Shiva. Chris and Leon. Chris Redfield and Leon Kennedy work for two different organizations and have no reason to interact with each other, but they do share one connection: Chris's sister, Claire. Following the Mansion Incident in 1998, Chris set out for Europe on his own, determined to bring down Umbrella. Before he left, he neglected to inform Claire as to his whereabouts, so she came to Raccoon City to find him. There, she met Leon, and together they fought their way out of the horrors of Raccoon City. Claire was then reunited with Chris on Rockfort Island. She loves and respects her brother. She considers Leon a trusted friend. With Claire as a mutual contact, it would only be a matter of time before the two met. Although the interactions between their respective organizations are highly restricted, when they finally met, both were able to understand each other's deep convictions, particularly those related to the eradications of bioorganic weapons. So why is the BSAA not allowed to interact with Leon's organization? That I don't understand. But yeah, Leon's the one that tipped Chris off onto where Claire was. Because Claire got into contact with Leon and then asked Leon to relay the message. Neo Umbrella. In Adonia, Chris and his BSAA team fell into a trap set by Ada Wong. She used the C virus to turn his team into BOWs as the leader of the Neo Umbrella. Ada brought the C virus that has been developed in China to the Civil War in Adonia, where she secretly gave it to the insurgents to administer it to mercenary fighters. The mercenaries then mutated into creatures known as the Chahavo, and then she gathered the data on their transformations. Chris has spent most of his life fighting the pharmaceutical company Umbrella, almost losing it on numerous occasions. It's not hard to imagine what he thought when he first heard the name Neo Umbrella. Why Ada named her organization such is a question only she can answer. Maybe because it's not actually Ada. from the files of Neo Umbrella. To all Neo Umbrella staff, at 23:29 today, our leader Ada Wong's vital signs ceased. At the same time, Plan D was shown to be activated. All personnel in our Far East facilities are urged to head for one of the predetermined safety zones. This emergency notice is for all human staff and not for Jahavo test subjects. An emergency cable will be sent to the underwater facility once Plan D is fully in motion. Ah, it's the insect dude. I hate this one. Piers file. All the men in Piers Niven's family have been in the military going all the way back to his great-grandfather. For as long as he could remember, Piers wanted to follow in his father's footsteps. He graduated at the top of his class from an elite military academy. When he was highly recognized for his skills as a sniper, following graduation, he joined the Army's Special Forces. Not long after joining the Special Forces, he became disillusioned. While he continued to participate in his drills without a hitch, he yearned for some greater calling. A reason for all this training, in 2010 he found that calling when Chris Redfield, impressed with Piers' sniper skills, asked him to join the BSAA. Piers was impressed with the way Chris ran Alpha Team. He treated them like a family and not like expendable soldiers. Chris, for his part, knew he couldn't be a field agent forever, which is why he recruited Piers. Chris believes the future of the BSAA lies with talented individuals like Piers, and Piers, for his part, now has a cause worth fighting for. Let's just ignore what happens to Piers. Chris and Albert. Chris Redfield and Albert Wesker, Jake Mueller's father, have a history that goes back to when the two were on the same STARS team and encountered the world's first known BOWs during the Mansion incident in 1998. It turned out later that this accident was engineered by Albert, who was working for Umbrella. As a result, Chris lost many good friends and colleagues. Chris set out to stop Umbrella and prevent the spread of BOWs, which led him into conflict with Albert on numerous occasions. In 2009, Chris found himself in Africa as he attempted to stop Albert from murdering a majority of the planet's population. During their battle, Albert mutated himself into a BOW, but he was killed thanks to Chris and his partner Sheva Alomar. Thankfully, Albert's plans of global genocide were never realized. Hey, they finally mentioned her. Nice. Now give us an update on her in some game. I don't care. Also, they also met on Rockford Island, where Albert made him look like a fool. Just want to point that out. Underwater facility. Neo Umbrella's deep sea research facility was built so that the group could have a secret location to create BOW teams of scientists extracted magma from below the ocean floor to find bacteria and microbes that could thrive in such extreme conditions, and then added their traits to the sea virus to give life to powerful BOWs. Where Neo Umbrella found the financial backing to construct such an august facility remains unknown, because they don't know themselves. Haos. Haos is a gigantic BOW that and the ultimate weapon created by Neo Umbrella in its underwater facility. The creature has translucent skin, making humanoid bone structures and internal organs visible to the naked eye. In addition, there are also gas-producing organs that secrete a gas that turns humans into zombies. This gas is thousands of times more concentrated than Lepotitsa's, and its potential infection radius is just as exponentially wide. Should it ever reach the surface, it would follow its programming and continue to divide and multiply. In only a few days, these Haos creatures would contaminate the entire planet. In the event of Neo Umbrella leader Ada Wong's death, the Haos creature would still be released. However, depending on when that occurs, there is the possibility that the creature could be released at an incomplete stage of its development. Best scene in the entire game. Best scene in the entire game. Hands down. This little encounter right here, nothing better. I like Nepads. I think they're a pretty cool enemy. I have no problem with them, actually. I don't have a problem with the snake fight either. I think the snake's pretty cool. I guess just say I don't hate Lepotitsa either. I think she's pretty cool. Chris Redfield rare. Why? Because he's got a knife. Rascal Punch. Again, you know, I like Rascal Punch. I don't have an issue with it. Bo hates it, but I love it. I guess I shouldn't say I love it, but you know, it is what it is. Dude, Chaos is the best final boss in this game. I mean, look at it. That is badass. Okay, I guess I shouldn't say best. Ustanok's the best, but this fight is really cool. I really like it. Ah, it's just so cool. So yeah, that's Chris's collection and all his files. And the next collection video, we will go over Jake Mueller's files. So I hope you have a great day. Remember, you can be the best that you could possibly be. If you like the video, like, comment, for that, super special awesome. Subscribe if you haven't, that really help me out. And ta-ta for now.